Good evening and welcome to City News. Premier Doug Ford is taking his fight against Donald Trump's tariffs straight to the source, traveling to Washington for meetings with lawmakers and business leaders. Our City News team is south of the border for Ford's visit. Mark McAllister joins us. Mark, tell us about the message the Premier was trying to get across today.
Alan, not only are we in the middle of a snowstorm here in Washington, D.C., outside the Capitol building, but you can tell that Doug Ford is stepping into the eye of another storm with everything that's going on in this city. He's here to try and pitch his Fortress AMCAN idea of two countries working together rather than having tariffs tear us apart.
Today, let's usher in the new American and Canadian century, a new golden age.
The message for what was supposed to be a largely American audience of 150 business leaders, hosted by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, was about working together. Not a mention of the hard-nosed counterpunch regarding tariffs Ontario voters have heard. Many Canadians in the crowd, a contingent equally set on convincing their U.S. counterparts that business between the two countries is key to economic success.
In our opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, it's just going to hurt Americans and it's going to hurt Canadians. We don't want to do that. We want to work collaboratively together with, as we were saying in the room and you heard, family members. And you don't attack a family member.
Ford suggested the U.S. and Canada team up to limit China's ability to do business in either country, which he considers a common threat, as well as working together to promote global investments on both sides of the border. He is pushing for more resources development and more electricity exports to the U.S., the opposite of cutting off supply. Outside the walls of small events and meeting rooms, does the message resonate in Washington and reach the Capitol or the White House? Ask those here on the ground.
Do I think that this necessarily is going to make a difference or dissuade Donald Trump from his bigger vision, if you could put it that way, about what he sees for North America and for Canada? I don't think it makes a difference, but it doesn't mean that opportunities for improved trade don't come down the road.
Just last week, while at home, Ford said he was tired of talking. It looks and sounds as though that's what the trip to Washington is all about, aside from handing out government booklets with little proof that it's going to change a thing.
We're going to continue communicating. The worst thing we could do as a country is not show up. That sends a message to the president that we don't care. We care. We care tremendously.
Ford met with Republican Congresswoman Lisa McClain from Michigan this afternoon. Obviously, Michigan being one of the closest trading partners for Ontario. Continued with that message he hopes to be able to relay over the course of the next day. Tomorrow is when all the other premiers from across Canada will be joining him here in Washington to continue to try and convince those here that something can actually be done when it comes to working together. Alan.
Mark, of course, all of this is happening in the middle of an Ontario election campaign. Ford was attacked for being away from his home jurisdiction. How is he justifying this trip in the midst of the campaign?
That's right, Alan. He faced more than a few questions today about actually being here right now. He maintains that he is still the Premier of Ontario and is acting in that capacity, and that it's not necessarily outside of what's called the Caretaker Convention, that he has permission from the Integrity Commission for the province to actually make this trip in this capacity. He did, however, say that it is the PC party that is paying for the trip at this point until he gets back to continue with the campaign.